The Miami Dolphins fall to the Buffalo Bills 31-10. It's the final. They now have lost 12 out of their last 13 games to Buffalo. And this is a really concerning loss for the Miami Dolphins tonight because now you are now 1-7 against playoff caliber teams since last year. And Mike McDaniel overall is 5-12 against teams that have winning records. And this loss to Buffalo tonight showed how the Miami Dolphins are the softest team in the NFL. They're not just soft, they're Charmin ultra soft. They were getting absolutely obliterated up front. Tua Tagovailoa was running for his life. Their defensive line couldn't stop the Bills' rushing attack. James Cook had 3 total touchdowns in this game, 2 on the ground, 1 reception for a touchdown. The Dolphins are not going to be a playoff team this year. And this isn't an overreaction to one game. I've been saying this before this season started that something just felt weird about Miami. They lost a couple of starters on the interior of their offensive line from last year. You definitely could tell with how bad they looked in this game. Defensively, losing Christian Wilkins to the Raiders in free agency, you definitely felt that loss tonight with how effective Buffalo was running the football in the middle of the Dolphins' defensive line. And with all the turnovers that Tua gave out to Buffalo tonight, Tua turning the ball over, it didn't help Miami's defense at all. And when it comes to Tua's performance, you know, it was less to be desired when you think about all of the money that the Dolphins just paid him before this season started. And even before he got injured, you know, there were concerns about if he was even worth this kind of money. Just because the market says that every new quarterback that's up for a new extension has to get paid over $200 million doesn't mean that every quarterback is worth market value. And Tua, I view him as a top 10 quarterback, but I feel only a select few group of quarterbacks deserve to be making the kind of money that he's receiving from Miami. And this was a nightmare game for the Dolphins tonight against Buffalo. Everything that went wrong for you, and then some, because you saw Tua struggle, the offense struggle, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, they were struggling to get open. And this offense is very predictable. That's why Sean McDermott has a winning record over Mike McDaniel, because he doesn't throw any new wrinkles into his scheme, which makes this team so easy to play for Buffalo because they know what's coming before it happens. And anytime the defense has a step on what you're going to do offensively, it's hard for you to execute your game plan. And I was really surprised how good Buffalo's defense looked tonight against Miami, considering all the guys that they were missing due to injuries. And you can make all the excuses in the world for the Dolphins losing this game. Tua left early in the third quarter with a concussion. They had Teron Armstead and the offensive guard have to leave the game due to an injury. But Buffalo just owns the Miami Dolphins. They might as well just change the name of that stadium from Hard Rock to Bills Mafia Stadium, because every time they come down to South Florida, they have the mentality, we're going to come into your trap and take over your trap. And the Buffalo Bills do it every time they play Miami. Mike McDaniel is insane. The definition of what it means to be insane is to do the same thing over and over again and get the same results. For the love of God, you have to switch some things up offensively, because this offense is not hard to stop if you have the personnel to stop it. If you have corners who can play bump and run coverage against Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, you can take them out the game because you ruined the timing between them and Tua. You saw on 2 out of 3 of those interceptions that Tua threw tonight, they came when the defense was able to disrupt the timing between the receivers and Tua. Tua is a great anticipatory thrower. He knows how to throw the football before guys get open, and that's what makes him so effective in this offense. But when you can get your hands on Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, and mess up the timing, the offense falls apart because Tua doesn't have the ability to make plays happen off script. And when it comes to Tua's concussion that forced him to have to exit this game in the third quarter, I don't believe Tua should retire. All right. And I hate how people are trying to force it upon Tua that he has no choice but to retire. If the dude wants to continue to play football, it's his decision. It's his life. If he wants to get effed up out there, he wants to further increase his chances of getting a CT if he doesn't have it already, then that's up to him. That's his decision to make. That's his judgment. You're not in his shoes. You're not lacing those pads up. You're not tightening up those cleats. So it's not your decision to tell what Tua should do as far as his career goes. If the dude wants to go back out there and play, if he gets cleared from concussion protocol, then he should be able to do so. It's not like this dude has suffered a career-ending head injury that should prohibit him from ever playing football again. This isn't the first time the Dolphins have had an injury-prone quarterback. Remember Chad Pennington? He was always injured too. When it comes to injuries, they're unpredictable. You don't know when they're going to happen. And as soon as Tua got hit by DeMar Hamlin, I kind of already had a feeling that he was going to miss the rest of this game. He's the definition of fragile luggage. You just breathe on him, he gets injured. And I was surprised that he played all of season healthy. So he's not injury prone per se because he played all of 2023 with no injury problems. It's just that when it comes to him getting hit above the shoulders, around that neck and head area, that's where he ends up facing the most injuries at, because I guess that's just probably the weak part of his body. And injuries are unpredictable. But when I think about Tua's long-term health, I definitely do have concerns about it. But once again, it's his decision to continue to put his body on the line and further risk effing himself up long-term if he wants to continue to play this sport. It's a physical sport. No matter how much you change the rules, guys are still going to get injured. And for the Dolphins tonight, this was just a complete nightmare of a game for you against Buffalo because your offense couldn't score points. You only scored 10 points in this game. When Miami's playing up against teams that have losing records, they average over 30 points per game. But when they go up against quality opponents, they only average 13 points per game. And it's hard to see this team making it to the playoffs this year with the healthy Aaron Rodgers and how good the Bills look this year. I see Miami being a 7-8 win football team. Defensively, I do believe that they can play better than what they did tonight. When you got to help your offense and bail them out after 3 really bad interceptions, there's only so much you can do when you're put in bad field position. And Buffalo just completely smashed Miami's defensive line up front. I mean, anytime they wanted to run the football, they had success doing so. And for the talent that the Dolphins have going into this year, you would have thought that they would have been able to win this game at home. It's hard for a team like Buffalo that plays in the part of the country that they do to come down to South Florida when it's hot and humid and just dominate Miami the way they do. The Dolphins have now lost 12 out of their last 13 games against this team. They just have no answers for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills.